right, so Workplace 20, Chapter 4 review here. It's the second part. We're taking a look at these short answer questions here. And this short answer question says the sun is shining at an angle of elevation of 31 degrees. So angle of elevation, remember, is from horizontal up. So if the sun is shining there, think about it sort of like this. Here's the sun, smiling. And it's shining at an angle of elevation at about 31 degrees. Okay? So we have to picture kind of what's happening with the sun there. Now the building, there's a building that's 60 meters tall that casts a shadow. Sorry, a building casts a 60-meter long shadow. So my building is going to be right about here, let's say. And the shadow, now this is very important, the shadow is not kind of in the air. The shadow is always on the ground, right? Shadow is always on the ground. So this is 60 from here to there. And of course that's a 90-degree angle. And what else are we given? Nothing else. So we're given these three pieces and we're asked to find the building. Okay, so that's the diagram. If you haven't started that question yet, take a couple minutes to work on that and I'll show you the answer in a bit. All right, so what we want to do is find the height of the building, and the height is x here, so that is the opposite side, right? And this is the adjacent side. So O and A is associated with tan. So you'd write tan of the angle, which is 31, equals opposite x over adjacent 60. And when you solve for x, you should get 36.1 meters. All right. So that's short answer question number 1. Short answer question number 2. All right, so number 2 here, it says calculate the area of the triangle, and what we're given is we're given an angle measure here and the hypotenuse. Now for area, we need to find the base and the height. So you're going to have to know this area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. So here's the base. And according to this angle, this is the adjacent side. And over here is the height, which is the opposite side. So we need to figure out both of these sides. And you're going to have to use what's given to you. So you're going to have to do 2 parts. You're going to have to find out what the adjacent side is here. And that trig function, remember, so, ka, toa, we need to use the hypotenuse and find the adjacent. So which one has hypotenuse and adjacent? Here we go, cosine. So you can set up an equation using 2 knowns and 1 unknown like this. Cos of 25 equals adjacent over hypotenuse 21.6. And you can solve for the adjacent side. And that is going to be our base. That's going to be the B, the area, the length of the base. And then you do the same thing over here for the opposite side. Of course, we use the hypotenuse and opposite. And that's the sine function. So sine 25 equals opposite over hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse, sorry, is 21.6. So then you solve for the opposite side. Once you do that, you use your area formula, 1/2 the base, which is the adjacent, times the height, which is the opposite side, and you should get your area. All right, so if you haven't tried this one yet, please take a couple minutes and finish this off from what I've given you to start with, and I'll show you the answer. All right, so having tried that question, we need the adjacent side, which is over here, 19.6 is the base. And the opposite side, or the height, is 9.1 or 9.13. When you put those values into the area formula, you should get 89.4 or so, 0.3 maybe, depending on where you rounded. Okay? Anybody have any questions on number 2? Base and height. In this case, it's adjacent and opposite. All right, so question number 3 says a right angle triangle has a base of 11.7 and a hypotenuse of 16.1. What's the measure of the angle between the two sides? So a base of 11.7, and again, remember, draw sketches, right, of every question, so you can clearly see what you're doing. 11.7 and 16.1. So this hypotenuse here, 16.1. Now we can make that a right triangle, that's no problem, and we have to find out this value of this angle right here. So according to this angle, this is the hypotenuse up here always, across the 90. And this is the, is it adjacent or opposite? Adjacent, very good. Yep. So adjacent and hypotenuse, that's so ka toa. So we're going to write a cosine equation. And we're going to solve for that angle. So again, pause the video if you're watching this video for the first time and give that a try and see if you can get that angle measure. I'll show you the answer in a minute. All right, so the cosine of the unknown angle there, you use the second function cos on your calculator. So second function cos, or cos to the -1, of 11.7 over 16.1, that's adjacent over hypotenuse, and your calculator should give you 43.4 degrees. So this angle measure is 43.4. Any questions about number 3? All right, number 4. Number 4 says, what is the area of triangle ABD? Right here. Now they give you a little bit more information than you need here in this question. So what you need to understand is that this is the base, right, down here. And because this is a 90 degree, this is the height. That's the height. So if I look at this larger triangle like this, I have an angle and I have the opposite side length. There's the angle. There's the opposite. I need to find the adjacent. So opposite and adjacent, what trig function do you use if you're involving opposite and adjacent? SOHCAHTOA, right? T-O-A. Very good. So tan of 46 is going to equal opposite over adjacent, which is this entire side, because we're talking about the larger triangle. So once you have the height, area, of course, equals 1/2 base times height. And the h here, the height, is the missing piece. So again, pause, take a few minutes to finish this question, and then I'll show you the answer. All right, so here's the here's how you find the adjacent there against tan, and the side BD, which is the adjacent side, should be about 8.6. And you put that into your area formula, and there you go. You should have an area of about 38.3, give or take a few tenths maybe, depending on where you rounded. These all have 1 decimal place, so if you use 1 decimal place in your measurements, that's fine. Okay, so remember, area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Any questions about that one? All right, we're going to take a look at the problem question here in the next section.